In my Shelly Presence Gen 4 video, which by the way you can see on the left side, I said that if you are willing to dig deep enough into the data that the Shelly Presence Gen 4 sends you, and by the way, this is data that you won't be able to see in the Shelly app, there is a lot of useful information, and potentially you would be able to do automations that are not available in the Shelly app because, you know, the data is so granular, you have to make your own logic in special cases. And in this video, I'm just going to show you that. So the scenario that I want to highlight here, which actually also showed in the previous video, is I'm looking at the data, the actual coordinates that the Shelly Presence Gen 4 sends. So these are X, Y, Z, and there is a min Z and a max Z coordinates that the device sends where it detects the motion or where it detects the person. And I was able to see how the max Z changes as I stand up or I sit down. And that was clearly visible from the data. And I said that in these cases, you can extract this data over MQTT or use some other method and process it outside. But actually, you can do the whole thing inside the Shelly as well. So what you're going to see here is I created a couple of virtual components on the Shelly. So it shows me the max Z, which is being measured by the sensor. And I had a very simple script which determines whether I'm actually seated or standing, or, well, if I'm not in the room, that I'm completely absent. So now I have a very simple value, a virtual component that is actually going to tell me if I'm seated or standing. So I should be able to set automations. For example, if I'm standing, that I can have the main lights lit in the room, but if I'm seated, then maybe those lights will go off and there is going to be like a side light which I want to turn off. And you can completely automate that, and you're going to see in the video shortly that I think it works remarkably well. And I've done the whole thing on the Shelly Presence Gen 4, so you don't need an outside server. Everything is done in Shelly scripting. So I'm just going to explain how this works in the video, because I think once you understand that, you should be able to use something similar in your situation as well. Maybe you have some other scenarios where you can use this height information to determine certain states and trigger different scenes. Okay, so now hopefully what you could see that the Shelly Presence is there in the windowsill. So it's looking at me, and you can see how the max Z changes as I move in and as I sit down. So initially the detection state was showing absent because there was nobody in the room, and I appeared, and I think it showed the status seated for a short period of time until this max Z settings was sort of like high enough to be considered as a standing position. But then I sat down and it changed to seated. And now I'm going to do the reverse, and we are going to see how these value changes. So let me just unclip the mic. Okay, so that basically concludes the demonstration, and I'm going to show you how I did it. And as I said, hopefully if you understand all these bits and pieces of the script and everything, you should be able to do very similar scenarios yourself as well. Okay, so first of all, let me change the view so we can see the whole screen, and that's better. And as usual with my scripts and everything, first of all, I'm going to show you that I had to create a couple of virtual components. So these are the max Z and the detection that you see on the screen. And then I created a Shelly script which actually reads the status and the event messages that are coming from the presence sensor. And these messages are very similar to the type of MQTT messages that we have seen previously on the previous video. And basically I just captured the information from these. So I'm looking at the number of objects. So if the number of objects is greater than 1, then I start looking at the tracking information and extract the max Z value. Obviously, if the number of objects is 0, then I set the status or the detection to absent because there is nobody in the room. And if it's greater than 1, then I start looking at the max z value. I always look for the highest max z value, and then I just have an arbitrary threshold to say that if the max z is more than 1.5 meters, then I considered the object to be standing. If it's less than I think I said if it's less than 1.45 meters, then I consider the subject to be seated. And that's pretty much it. It is very simple, but as you can see, it is working fairly reliably. There is a certain amount of delay, but it does detect all these statuses correctly, at least in this scenario. So as I said in the previous video, you might need to play around with some of the settings of the Shelly Presence Gen 4 just to make sure that the detection is correct. It detects a person, it only detects one person. I mean, ideally, this particular scenario is suited for like a smaller room where you probably just going to have one person present, but I can imagine that you can do something similar if you are tracking multiple persons as well. Okay, so let's look at the virtual components first. So I created two virtual components. One is called the max z, which is just a simple number label. Yes, it's a number type, so number 200, and it has a label and it has an icon as well, and it's put into a group. And then I have a detection, which is an enumeration, so enum 200, and it is also a label type because we don't expect this to be set from the UI. It also has an icon, and it has 3 different states: absent, standing, and seated. That's it, and that's also assigned to the virtual component, the virtual group. And by the way, going back to the app, so once you are in the so this is the Shelly app, and that's the page for the virtual components. And if you edit the virtual group, you can extract this virtual group as a separate virtual device, so you can create scenes on, for example, on the detection value. You can create scenes on the height as well, but I did some additional logic. So the detection gives you a more clean state as opposed to the the max z, which tends to change a lot. So I also added a bit of hysteresis in there. Okay. And before we look at the code, I just want to show you the actual messages that are coming through. So there are two, well, maybe it's not all the messages, but the messages that concerns us. So in the status events, so through the status handler, I get 2 status events and or 2 type of status messages. I'm only going to be focusing on one. So there is a general presence status message, which only talks about these timer intervals and the tracking and some timestamps. I don't really care about that. There is nothing useful information in that. But the other type of status message is again very similar to what we have seen in the MQTT messages. So these are the presence. So these are the different zones. And again, if you remember how I explained the zones, so you have the entire room, which is always called presence zone 200, and go back, and then any of the zones that you create are going to be called presence zones 201, 202, 203. So in here in the script, I was specifically looking for, in the script, I was specifically looking for detections in the desk zone. So when I reach this area around my desk, that's when I want to look at the height and determine whether I'm seated or standing. But again, you can change this to, presence zone 200, and then it's going to look at the objects or the persons in the entire room. So the component is presence zone 200 in my case, and in the delta .num objects, this is how many persons are detected in that zone. So this is where I'm looking at, is this either 0 or more than 0. I also have, so this was all the status updates, and on the events, so within the event handler, we can capture the illuminance. I'm not going to use that, but I capture this in the script in case you want to use this for your logic. But you can see that the component is illuminance 0, and in the info.illumination you get these values, whether it's dark, light, or twilight. But you can actually have the lux value here if you really want that granular information. But then the real thing, the real magic happens in the tracking events. So here the component is again presence, and then within the info object, the event is track. And in the objects, there is going to be an array for all the different objects that are being tracked by this unit. And as I said, in this particular scenario, I really only expect one person to be detected, but the code is going to look at all the objects, and it's just going to capture the maximum max Z value. So if there is like a shadow person detected, it will look at those max Z value as well. But I mean, you can see how it works, and it seems to be working fine. Okay, so now let's look at the script. So this is the high detection script, and you will find this in the video description if you need that. And I created 3 values. So the num objects, the illumination, and the max Z. And these will get updated by either the event handlers or the status handlers. I also created a handle for the 2 virtual components. So you can see that the virtual get handle number 200, that was the max Z, and the enum 200, that was the detection thingy. So first I created, which one we should do first? Okay, let's do the event handler. So I created an event handler, and I started looking at the event messages. So again, the first one is the illuminance. So this is how the event object looks like. So I checked whether the event is an object, whether the component, event.component is illuminance. So this one. And I also check if there is an info object, and there the event.info.event is illuminance update. So it's basically this one. And then if that is the case, then I save the illuminance value. And I also did this if statement here, because this device seems to send this illuminance value quite frequently. So I said, let's just only store if there are any changes. So I don't keep too many changes in case you want to trigger something on that. And anytime any of the value change, I call the update values, which is a code further down, which actually does all the calculation. So that was the illuminance update. And then we also get the color coordinates in the tracking event. So that is going to be this object, or this event object. And here we are checking whether this is an object, whether the component is presence. So it's this value. And whether it has an info object, and whether the event, again, either. So again, the event.info.event is track. So it's this one, it says track. And if that is the case, then I create a for loop which goes through each of the array element in the either event.info.object. So in this object, so this array, because as I said, it could be more than one person detected. And then basically I just look at the max Z value, and if it's greater than the max value, then I'm going to capture that. So it basically looks through each, and then it captures or remembers the greatest max Z value, and then it updates the top variable or the global variable that I created. It also prints to the console log, and it calls the update values. That's it. So these are all the event handlers. These are the 2 event handlers, and I also have a status handler. And the status that I'm going to handle is this. So we are check whether the status is an object, whether the status.component is presence zone 201. So here, and again, if you want to do the validation for the entire room, you just change it to presence zone 200. And then we also check whether there is a status.delta. That should be an object. And then we just capture the num object equals the status.delta.num object. So we store this in our global variable. So, and then we call the update values. So once any of these values changes or any of these event handlers trigger, we call these update values function, and that's going to update the status, the 3 different statuses that you could see. So first of all, we check if the number of objects is 0, then obviously there is nobody in the room. There is no point looking at the maxi because there is nobody in the room. So we are going to set the status, or this, sorry, not the status, but this detection object to absent. And I also do these additional if statements because I only want to change this value if it's already a different value. If it's already absent, I don't want to set it to absent again, just in case you want to create a scene on that, so that scene doesn't necessarily triggers too many times. And if the num object is not 0, then else, then I'll update the max z, because then it makes sense to update the max z. Maybe in here I update the max z anyway, so that always gets updated. And basically, I just said if the max z is more than 1.5, so if it's detecting a height more than 1.5 meters, then the detection value should be standing. And if it's less than 1.45, I did a little bit of hysteresis on that. So if the value hovers around 1.5, it doesn't keep switching between standing and seated and standing and seated, and it won't necessarily trigger scenes and the lights will flicker. So I wanted to add this sort of 5 centimeters of difference. And it seems to be working just fine. I mean, you can see in the video that it just either switches to seated or standing. It doesn't do like a jitter around that area. So if it's less than 1.45, then I change the status to seated. And that's pretty much it. And I think that's pretty much concludes this video. So as you can see, I didn't have to write an awful lot of code to make this happen. Obviously, you need to create all these event handlers to extract the raw information from the sensor. But the update values function, which contains the actual logic, is not that complicated. It just needs several if statements to handle all the different cases. And my scenario is a little bit simplified because I only care about one zone. I only expect really one person to be detected. And I think I mentioned in the previous video as well, is the only issue I see with this raw data is you get presence informations related to zones, and you have all the tracking information which contains the coordinates, but this tracking information doesn't tell you which zone that person is detected. I mean, in the app you clearly see whether the person is in that bracket or in that highlighted area, but the data doesn't really show that. So if you want to make this scenario more complicated by doing something similar with multiple zones, then unfortunately you have to do your own zone detection based on the coordinates that is coming in the tracking data. So similarly how probably Shelly creates a range of XY coordinates or XY values to be linked to zones, you should be able to do that in a fairly simple code in the Shelly scripting as well. So when you receive this tracking data, then you say if the X is within these values and the Y is within these values, then it's zone 1 or zone 2 or zone 3. And then you can look at the max Z values if you want to detect the same kind of seated or standing situation in multiple zones. But I think you can definitely do that. It's going to make the code a little bit more complicated, but it's not going to be, very complex anyway. But I think with this, I'm going to conclude this video. If you want this specific script, obviously the link is going to be down in the video description below. If you happen to use this functionality or the scripting for your automation purposes, which is slightly different than what I explained here, please let me know in the comment section below, because I would like to understand how it gets used in your home automation scenarios. But I think that should be all for today. Thanks for watching, and hopefully see you next one.